Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working on our bargain bead box for the month of February. That's the amethyst one, and I'll just jump right into it. I kind of started making some elements of the necklace that I want to make. So we're going to be making 5 of these, and these are basically our amethyst round beads and then our agate dyed purple beads that are the center. And then I also used some jump rings, and this is a technique that I wanted to show you how to do if you don't have any spacers. Now if you have spacers, just go ahead and use some spacers, but if you don't have any spacers, what we're going to use is this little 4mm jump rings right here, and we're going to use those as spacers. The main thing is that you got to make sure that everything is closed really well. So let's just get started. So I'm using this 22 gauge Vanguard permanently colored wire in silver. Of course, you can use any wire you have, craft wire, and if you don't want to use sterling silver, please go ahead and do so. But just to cut about, I don't know, 3 inches or so, and then I'll show you what to do. And since I already made one of these, I decided to mark with my Sharpie on here where you know, we're gonna do the loops, so you get about the same size loops. That's the goal. Okay, first things first, you want to run your fingers through the wire several times to kind of harden it, because this is very soft. Now if you have harder wire, you might not have to do this. This wire is extremely soft because it's copper based, so you can either even use maybe one of those wire straighteners that I have, like the plastic. I have one, but I didn't get up and get it, so you can just use your finger and kind of work harden it a little bit, you know. And then just get your flat nose pliers, and we're gonna make a loop, but we're gonna make a wrapped loop. And to do a wrapped loop, you're gonna bend this. So take your wire around the place you marked, and then just bend it over with your fingers. Twist your pliers around your chain nose pliers, and then just bring the wire to the front or the back like this. And then I'm gonna wrap it twice. So I'm just gonna go 1 with my finger. You can also do this with, you know, some pliers. So you can do 1 and then 2. You're gonna try to make them as flat as possible. Then you're going to keep turning it around. And then you're gonna take it and you're just gonna flush cut it as flush as you can. Sometimes I take my fingers and just kind of work it around. So just cut it as flush as you can. And then of course, if you have anything sticking out, take some of your pliers and just kind of push in the wire. So usually this part is the easiest part because we don't have a bead yet, but that's what you should have. And then you're gonna string your beads. So you're gonna take an amethyst bead. And then you're gonna take a jump ring. And before we do that, let me show you, like this one is an open jump ring. To close and open a jump ring, you want to go always, sorry, I got the wrong pliers. You always want to go, you know, this way, okay? Never the other way. Now what we're trying to do here is not really open or close. We're just trying to get the wires to meet as much as possible. So have a little bit of pushing this way while you're moving it, and try to have this gap as close as possible. So I have barely a gap here. So I'm just gonna slide this, and then I'm gonna use an agate bead, purple agate bead. And then I'm gonna use another closed jump rings, a pre-closed one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And then I'm gonna use another amethyst. So you should have something like this, okay? Now, we can always turn the direction of the loops around, but I think I'm gonna do a loop that is opposite. So I'm gonna show you what I mean. So this one is facing this way, so we want the wire to be facing this way. So we take that and we do the same thing as before. Find your mark and see where you need to put your wire. So my mark is about here. So I'm going to get as close as I can, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn my loop around like this. And this is a little bit more difficult once you have some beads, but you can still do it just the same way. So just use your hands and just push it twice, and then You might have to kind of pull it through a little bit to make it tighter. So I'm just pulling. And then once again, I am cutting pretty as flush as I can. There you go. And then you're gonna take your pliers and you're gonna make sure that that's really flush. And you wanna try not to mangle your wire as much as possible. I mangled it a little bit. But sometimes if you have really soft wire, it's really hard not to do, but it'll be fine anyway. So you're gonna make 5 of these guys, okay? And then you're gonna meet me back. Next, we're gonna do these links, which are made the same way as these are. So just go ahead and take a piece of wire, straighten it out once again so you can see it twice. And these are a little bit more tricky because they are shorter, but go ahead and just bend that out and then just find your spot, bend your wire, move your pliers, and then just go behind and wrap, either with your hands or with the pliers like I showed you. So there's a little tail there, so I'm gonna try to cut it as flush as possible. And then I'm going to take the chevron bead and I'm just gonna do it once again. Once again, it doesn't matter how you do this because we'll probably have to turn these around because we're gonna use the circles that came with the box and we're gonna connect these pieces to those circles. And also you might wanna use a little bit more, of the plier a little bit forward because it's gonna be hard to do exactly even links if you just go by the mark because this is closer now to your bead. So it's a little bit more difficult to do. Just go ahead and cut it flush once again. And then just go ahead and tuck it in, straighten it out. And even if they could be, if they're like this, they're fine too. I'm straightening them out in the same ways, but we might have to change that. So you should have something like this. And now it's just a matter of connecting elements. So I'm just gonna connect these jump rings together to the main pendant. And you want to make sure that you really close these jump rings well because we have very thin wires that we're working it with the connections here, with these little connections that we made. So you want to make sure that your jump rings are really, really closed. I mean, you want it to be as impeccable as possible, okay? And so that's the first connection. And by the way, if you need jump rings, this is the ones I'm using. I've used them in other videos. I will leave a link below so you can get them on Amazon if you're interested in these, and they come in a variety of sizes. And that's what we're gonna need for this project. So right now I'm using the 4 millimeters. Then I want to connect this link to this link, and we're gonna do the same thing. So we're just gonna keep opening jump rings and just closing them like we just did with the other one. So once again, just make sure that they are really well closed. And you should have this. And then we're gonna take one of the parts of a clasp that we got in the box. So we're not gonna take the T-bar part. And we're gonna use these to connect these. So as you can see, these holes are not the same direction. So you'll have to figure out if the jump ring goes this way, this is gonna have to be in the same direction and the other one is gonna have to be in the opposite. So you wanna make sure that you have one jump ring, one loop facing one way and one loop facing the other way so you can connect the jump rings properly. And as always with these things, it's easier to just do them than explain them. So you'll see that once you connect this to this little guy, it will work because the other jump ring, the other connector is facing in the opposite direction. So you'll have this and then you can connect this one to this one. Now you don't have to use jump rings if you don't want to. You could potentially just wrap the loops around the connectors directly, but I find that that doesn't give me as much movement you know, for necklaces. So I prefer to do this sometimes, not all the time, but in this case, I really like the idea of using jump rings. So you're gonna connect to this one, and this is gonna be sort of like your focal. We're making a long necklace, you know. But yeah, so you're gonna do that. And next you're gonna take your connections that you made with the amethyst, and we're gonna connect these. And I'll tell you which size jump rings to use because I have to kind of test them out. As you know, I'm doing this on the fly. Okay, I connected one so that I could test it out, and I decided to use 6mm jump rings. I'm trying to find the smallest jump rings that will fit over the connector and, you know, connect the little link that we made. And you want to start just putting it out at the bottom because this is a wider size and it's going to be more difficult to open and put the jump ring over there. You just want to kind of start at the smallest part of this uneven round connector. And once again, just make sure that it's very well closed as possible, and you should have something like this. So it's like a V, okay? So this is gonna be your centerpiece, and we're gonna keep going. Next, we're gonna connect this circle, same thing, just take your jump rings, the smaller one that we used, the 4mm, and just add them, and make sure that, you know, the direction of your links is appropriate to the direction of that. So for instance, this one is, if I'm gonna use this part, that's not going to work. So I have to make sure that it's the same direction as this loop. So just go ahead and, you know, just change your loop side or your loop direction, and then just add the jump ring. Okay, and once again, just close it up. And I'm gonna do that on the other side as well. And so moving on, we're gonna do the same exact thing. We're just gonna connect this to this with jump rings as well as these. And we're just gonna, you know, use our jump rings to connect just like I showed you. Okay, meet me back when you're done with that. So now I'm going to connect these two to these in the same manner. I'm just going to keep taking jump rings and connecting, you know, making sure that the side are done properly, and these are facing the same direction. Okay, yeah, it takes a little bit of messing around with it because they're so small. And today I have my glasses on, so instead of my contacts, and I see less with glasses, unfortunately, but I had to give a break for my eyes, so that's the way I'm doing it today. And you're gonna connect this one as well. And then I took 17 inches of chain. So I actually didn't cut this chain. You can actually open it. If you look really close, these are really made with open jump rings, so you can take it and carefully open it, and I'll show you how to do that here. So you're just gonna take, you're gonna find your seam, which I think is right here, and then you're just gonna open it just like a jump ring, very carefully and very gently. And then you're gonna slip this on, and you're gonna close it. And then you're gonna take your other side and you're gonna do the same. And I'm trying to make this a slip-on necklace. Now I hope I got the measurements right. I'll have to try it on. But if you don't want to make it that long, then you can just add a clasp in the back. I just decided that I don't want to add a clasp if all possible. So I'm gonna try to do one of those necklaces that you just kind of slip on, sort of like a mala. So hopefully this one is long enough, and you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. You're just gonna close it very carefully. And there's your necklace right here. So it's a simple one. It's not very difficult to make. And it's just more like one of those trendy jewelry. I will take pictures so you can see it better. It's kind of hard to fit it all on the camera, but yeah, it's a long necklace, and hopefully it'll slip over my head. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'll check if make sure that everything falls right and everything is facing the right way after you hang it. You might have to correct a little bit, but yeah, this was like a really simple, quick necklace. So I hope you found it enjoyable and that gives you ideas. Feel free to, you know, add elements that are different. Maybe you don't have to use the chevron beads. Maybe you could use these beads. These would be very pretty too. And you don't even have to use this amethyst if you don't want to. You can use something else. You could even leave it as just a sequence of beads if you wanted to. But if you like this video, just give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Maybe anything that I can do better for you would also be a good comment. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching and have a happy creating time with your bead box. Bye.